No wheels, no metal. But over 1,000 years ago, the Pueblo people at Chaco Canyon built massive stone cities and a network of straight roads cutting through the desert. To this day, it remains an inexplicable scientific challenge. For a long time, this place was seen merely as a ceremonial center, but LIDAR and modern analysis reveal a completely different story, structures aligned precisely with the sun, the moon, even marking ancient supernovas. The network of roads stretching dozens of kilometers seems designed to track the sky and climate, not just for travel. Could they have possessed knowledge of astronomy and the environment far beyond their time, even resembling a cosmic computing system that has been lost? Before Chaco Canyon became the mysterious center of the ancient Pueblo people, it was just a barren valley full of rocks and wind. Over 10,000 years ago, the first Paleo-Indian hunter groups set foot in this land, tracking herds through the enclosed valleys of the Colorado Plateau. Spear points, stone knives, and bone fragments found in rock crevices prove that early presence. They lived nomadically, moving with the seasons, leaving no traces of permanent architecture. Around 1500 BCE, the Archaic period began. People started staying longer in the valleys, setting up long-term camps. Atlatl Cave still holds remnants of hearths, animal bones, and tools. They hunted, gathered, sometimes experimenting with small-scale farming, but without forming complex societies. The climate gradually stabilized, with fewer but more regular rainy seasons, a crucial factor allowing humans to think beyond mere hunting. By around the 5th century CE, a turning point emerged. The basket maker II people shifted to true agriculture, planting corn, beans, squash, and beginning to store food to withstand the harsh climate. They invented pit houses, semi-subterranean homes that stayed cool in summer and warm in winter. From here, a mindset of adapting to the desert environment took shape, knowing how to utilize terrain, wind, and sun for survival. Communities grew larger. Societies became more organized. They began cooperating to build crowded villages, create grain storage, and exploit distant timber sources for roof beams. Living in a water-scarce environment, they had to observe weather, crops, and the sky to survive. Gradually, rudimentary astronomical knowledge sprouted: when to plant, when to store, when to prepare for drought. During this phase, a new form of architecture appeared: the kiva circular rooms built underground, serving as ritual spaces while also regulating temperature and providing community gathering places. This was not just religion, but a sign that the Pueblo were organizing more complex societies with distinct community centers. These elements, agriculture, adaptive architecture, knowledge of climate, and astronomy, formed the foundation for a brilliant civilization to rise a few centuries later. Entering the 9th century, this barren valley witnessed an unprecedented transformation. The ancestral Puebloans began constructing massive stone structures that we today call great houses, symbols of the period archaeologists name the Bonito phase, around 850–1150 CE. At the valley center, Pueblo Bonito rose like a multi-story city with over 600 rooms, reaching 4 or 5 stories in some sections, stacked with tens of millions of neatly fitted sandstone blocks. Pueblo Bonito's area alone exceeded that of a modern football field. And it wasn't the only one. Chetro Kettle, Una Vida, Hungo Pavi followed, turning Chaco Canyon into the largest stone metropolis in the American Southwest. What astonishes is the building technique. The Pueblo used sandstone to form double or triple-layered walls, filled with rubble and earth in between, making them light yet durable. The outer faces were cut flat and fitted tightly, creating high walls that have remained stable through thousands of seasons of sun and wind. No metal tools or evidence of wheels have been found, yet the walls achieved remarkable straightness, with square rooms enduring for centuries. The main material, large timber for roof beams, was not available in the valley. Isotope analysis shows it was harvested from the Chusca and Zuni ranges, up to 80 kilometers from Chaco. Transporting thousands of logs across the desert without carts or draft animals remains a mystery of labor organization and logistics. Many hypotheses suggest the Pueblo used compacted dirt roads, ramps, or large groups carrying them in ceremonial waves. Most importantly is the network of straight roads. Thanks to modern LIDAR technology, archaeologists have mapped hundreds of kilometers of Chacoan roads, with the Great North Road standing out a nearly straight line extending over 50 kilometers from central Chaco northward. Notably, The roads didn't avoid difficult terrain, they crossed hills and cut through rock crevices instead of curving for easier transport. This leads many scholars to doubt an economic function. Perhaps these were ceremonial axes, marking sacred spaces or connecting to astronomical observation points. In parallel, long-distance trade reached astonishing levels. In Chaco pottery, scientists detected cacao from as far as Mesoamerica over 1,000 kilometers south, and Cerulose turquoise mined and distributed throughout the region. Seashells, exotic feathers also appeared, proving Chaco was a link in a vast exchange network connecting Mexico, Arizona, and the Pacific coast. Looking at the whole picture, massive stone cities, straight roads slicing through the desert, and distant trade. Chaco Canyon no longer seems a simple farming village. It emerges as a mysterious knowledge center, where ancient people may have held understandings of astronomy and engineering unknown to modern humans. If Chaco's great houses astonish us with their scale and construction technique, the astronomical mysteries within them truly send chills through researchers. In this seemingly barren desert, the ancient Pueblo turned stone and light into a secret language of the sky. Most prominent is the Sun Dagger on Fajada Butte, an isolated peak resembling a natural observatory. Here, thin rock slabs are arranged into slits just wide enough for sunlight to pierce and fall precisely on spiral petroglyphs on the cliff face. At summer solstice, a dagger of light slices through the spiral center. At winter solstice, it shifts to the outer edge. At spring and fall equinoxes, two parallel beams bracket the design like clock hands. The accuracy is near perfect. And astonishingly, this system has functioned steadily for over 1,000 years, despite climate changes and erosion. But the Sun Dagger is just the beginning. Pueblo Bonito and many other great houses were built with facades, windows, and plazas aligned directly with the paths of the sun and moon. Some structures match the moon's 18.6-year orbital cycle, a figure modern astronomy only clearly described a few centuries ago. Researchers used astronomical software to project medieval skies backward and found uncanny precise matches window angles, plaza axes, and even the Great North Road all tied to key celestial rise set points. Especially at Peñasco Blanco, a rock carving depicts a crescent moon, a blazing sun, and an exploding burst of light. Many scholars believe this records supernova SN 1054, a shocking astronomical event noted by Chinese and Arab astronomers. If true, it proves the Pueblo not only observed the sky for farming, but tracked rare cosmic phenomena. From this arises a bold hypothesis. Chaco Canyon may be a giant cosmic computer. The structures didn't just serve rituals, but recorded and predicted seasons, weather, eclipses, even long-term climate changes. Some fringe researchers compare it to ancient solar energy computing networks. The idea that straight roads and observation points functioned as systems to collect and transmit astronomical knowledge. However, mainstream science remains cautious. They acknowledge the accuracy of the Sun Dagger and architectural alignments, but warn there's no evidence the Pueblo possessed advanced computing technology. Still, the data gaps, no written records, no measuring tools only make the story more haunting. Chaco Canyon, clearly, is not just a stone city. It is a place where the sun, moon, and stars were encoded into every wall, and from here, the legend of an astronomy knowledge surpassing its era began to spread. If Chaco Canyon's astronomical mysteries stun researchers, the massive straight road network truly elevates the questions to another level. From the ground, these roads have nearly vanished after thousands of years of wind and sand. But when LiDAR laser scanning technology that penetrates vegetation and soil cover was applied, the picture that emerged left archaeologists speechless. LiDAR maps reveal hundreds of kilometers of roads crisscrossing the desert around Chaco, many as straight as if drawn with a ruler, ignoring hills or canyons. The most famous is the Great North Road, an axis over 50 kilometers long from central Chaco, stretching straight north, defying rugged terrain. It doesn't curve to avoid slopes or seek easy paths. Instead, it cuts through every obstacle, a completely uneconomical choice if intended only for transport. This raises a big question. Why did the Pueblo build roads leading nowhere? Many end abruptly at cliffs or high points, not connecting settlements. Traditional archaeologists argue these were ceremonial roads paths for processions in rituals or spiritual axes linking central Chaco to distant sacred sites. Yet, their absolute straightness and enormous scale keep this hypothesis debated. Some fringe researchers propose bolder ideas. This network could be cosmic computing infrastructure, a giant astronomical map marking movements of the sun, moon, or even predicting climate cycles. They point to alignments of the Great North Road with key celestial rise-set positions in long cycles. Some even liken it to ancient solar energy networks, suggesting the road's optimized building placements for sun and wind. Like modern sustainable urban design principles, modern scientific evidence adds to the mystery. GIS and satellite imagery show many roads linking Chaco to outlier communities, small settlements, sometimes dozens of kilometers from the center. These may have been signal relay points or satellite ritual stations. However, no large transport infrastructure has been found, no wheel ruts, no rest areas or storage depots, nearly ruling out pure commerce hypotheses. Mainstream archaeologists emphasize while Chaco roads show deep symbolic and ritual significance. There's no convincing evidence they were actual energy or computing systems, but they also admit an undeniable fact: the level of planning and alignment in this network surpasses most other pre-metal societies in the Americas. Each new LiDAR discovery lifts the veil over thousands of years, but also creates more questions. How could people without metal, wheels, or satellite maps draw perfectly straight lines across rugged land for dozens of kilometers? This mystery has no final answer yet, and it makes Chaco Canyon seem even more like a system programmed for purposes far beyond daily survival. After more than 3 centuries of splendor, Chaco Canyon's glory began to crack. Around 1130, evidence from sediment cores and isotope analysis shows the American Southwest entered a drought lasting up to 50 years, one of the most severe dry spells ever recorded. Water dwindled. Farmland turned barren. Sparse trees around the valley withered. The trade network weakened as distant routes became hard to maintain in harsh conditions. The once bustling great houses fell silent. Archaeologists found signs of phased abandonment, empty rooms, kivas without fire traces, broken pottery left behind. Some evidence shows the Pueblo shifted building timber sources from nearby to farther away, like the Chusca Mountains, eventually abandoning entirely due to resource exhaustion. Chaco society seemed to undergo power shifts. DNA studies from burials at Pueblo Bonito reveal a matrilineal elite class ruling across generations. As drought persisted and food depleted, discontent may have erupted, shaking the political religious structure that once maintained order. The cause of collapse remains debated. One side argues harsh climate alone could wipe out Chaco. Failed agriculture, depleted water, forced migration. The other points to large-scale deforestation around the valley for building and fuel. Accelerating ecosystem collapse. Either way, both scenarios paint a civilization deeply dependent on the environment and unable to adapt to climate change. The result, after 1150, central Chaco was almost completely abandoned. The Pueblo moved to more stable water sources like the Rio Grande Valley, Hopi Mesa, Zuni, carrying legends of a once glorious sacred valley that faded. To them, Chaco became a holy but forsaken land, a memory both proud and cautionary. Today, many researchers see Chaco's collapse as a mirror, a society that once harnessed the sun, built sustainably in the desert, yet fell to prolonged climate change, modern Southwest droughts, Colorado River depletion, or overexploitation of resources all echo the tragedy that happened here. Chaco Canyon is thus not just ancient ruins. It resembles a warning etched in stone and desert dust, even with advanced astronomical knowledge or engineering. A civilization can collapse when the environment changes beyond adaptation. Over 1,000 years have passed. Chaco Canyon still lies silent in the New Mexico desert, but questions about it never cease. Each decade, new technology shines deeper into those stone walls and straight roads, and instead of closing the mysteries, they seem only to make them grow larger. One of the most haunting questions is the true purpose of the Chaco Road Network. Ongoing LiDAR scans continue to uncover hidden routes, sometimes overlapping into complex geometries invisible from the ground. Some lead straight to mountain peaks for astronomical observation. Others end at isolated mesas points that may have been ritual sites or observatories. No one has found transport traces, no wheel grooves, no rest stations, no storage caches. So, could these roads be a map of the sky etched into the earth, or a religious power network used to control the spiritual lives of inhabitants? The MacGuffins still challenge archaeologists. The sun dagger continues to function accurately, but the mechanism of its construction, how to find the exact rock positions for a perfect light dagger, remains unexplained with pre-metal tools. Inside Pueblo Bonito, rooms with oddly resonant domes suggest hypotheses of sound rituals or signal transmission. Pottery with star patterns, supernova symbols at Peñasco Blanco, along with distant trade artifacts like cacao and turquoise, show a broader commerce knowledge network than imagined. Even some new studies use AI and climate simulations to test if Chaco structures once forecasted rainy or dry seasons, a kind of ancient environmental computer. Modern technology keeps digging deeper. Architectural AI analyzes stone wall geometry for structural logic. Climate models combine pollen and sediment data to understand the collapse. High-resolution satellite imagery is detecting previously unrecorded outlier sites. Each new find poses bigger questions. Have we underestimated ancient knowledge just because they left no writing or metal tools? But Chaco Canyon is not just the past. It illuminates the present. A society that succeeded through solar harnessing and centralized labor organization, yet was defeated by prolonged drought and resource depletion. Today, as the American Southwest faces climate change, the Colorado River dries up, and desert cities expand. Chaco's lesson becomes more terrifying than ever. In the end, Chaco Canyon leaves a chilling question. Did ancient wisdom once find ways to read the sky and adapt to the desert, yet still fail to escape environmental collapse if we are entering that cycle? Are we smart enough to avoid repeating their fate?